exploitation, and sexual favoritism here on campus.
Do you know what you're going to be for Halloween? We'll take you for a trip on the Halloween Highway and tell you all the rules you'll need to know along the way.
The nation loses a leader, and Carolina loses an alumnus and friend. All that and more.
Carolina Week starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening, I'm Alex Lawson.
And I'm Jenny McClendon. Thanks for joining us for the October 30th edition of Carolina Week.
Friends, family, and colleagues are remembering Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone. The UNC Chapel Hill graduate died in a plane crash last Friday.
Carolina Week's Aaron Mesmer has more on the politician whose life touched many here at Carolina.
Many are still in mourning.
The Department of Transportation has confirmed that the identification number on the tail of the plane that went down matched the serial number of Senator Wellstone's plane.
The sadness from the tragic death of Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone runs south to UNC Chapel Hill, where he not only received his master's and PhD in political science, but was a champion wrestler and taught classes as well. His wife Sheila, daughter Marcia, and 5 others also died in the crash. The man who will be sorely missed is best described by the friends he left behind.
What we're going to miss is his outspokenness and his willingness to take a stand on the sort of issues that you've been reading about in the paper.
Longtime friend and Carolina professor Joel Schwartz.
I think that not only did I lose a great friend, but I think millions of Americans, particularly those who are voiceless and powerless and are marginalized in our society, lost one of the few, if only, people in a position of authority and visibility who spoke for them.
He really was an excellent teacher and in many ways got the students involved in things so that instead of just taking a course, you had an experience.
We have a saying in my religious faith that his memories my memories of him will always be a blessing.
Carolina has lost one of its own, but those memories will live on. In Chapel Hill, I'm Aaron Mesmer, Carolina Week.
Former Vice President Walter Mondale will run for Wellstone's seat.
North Carolina's Senate election is right around the corner as well, but many Carolina students say they won't be voting. Political science professor George Rabinowitz says that low student turnout for elections is common.
Well, in general, the student generation now is a low voting group and fairly low political interest group.
Many students aren't registered to vote. Matthew Arbuckle is the communications director of the Students for Bowls campaign. He says that targeting college students was a large part of the group's campaign. Arbuckle says that many students aren't aware of the force that student voters could be. However, despite efforts to target students, it's not enough for many here at Carolina.
I haven't filled out an absentee ballot or anything of that nature, so I doubt I will vote, even though I would like to.
I'm not voting. The main reason I'm not voting is because I'm not registered. When I became age to vote, I didn't register. I've never taken time to fill out all the papers and stuff.
Elections are Tuesday.
If you ever see the letter X on your Carolina transcript, you better hope it's a typo. UNC Chapel Hill may add X to the grading scale to indicate a student cheated. Currently, if a student is caught cheating, it shows up as an F. A task force will decide if the XF would be effective and if students should get a chance to remove the X by taking a special class. Right now, cheating is recorded on the students' disciplinary records. The Committee on Student Conduct will give its suggestion by December.
Some Chapel Hill residents have expressed concern about the crowds that flood Franklin Street every Halloween. But this year's event isn't getting smaller, it's getting bigger. Thousands of students are expected to show off their costumes on Franklin Street this Halloween. A year ago, about 25,000 people celebrated along Franklin Street. And this year, Chapel Hill police say the number could reach 75,000. Chapel Hill Police Chief Greg Jarvie says his force will be out, but not out to get you if you follow the rules.
As long as they don't infringe on someone else's ability to have a good time, then we're just going to sit in the background and make sure everybody's safe. And I think people appreciate that. There are other activities in other parts of the country where the police come on with the riot gear and the hard-ass approach, and that's not Chapel Hill.
Jarvie says the newest addition to this year's event will be a shuttle service. The town will offer the service from 4 park and ride lots until 2:30 in the morning. The shuttles will leave from the Jones Ferry Road lot, Southern Village, the Friday Center, and University Mall. Well, Thursday is Halloween, and if you don't have a costume by now, you might want to start shopping. Carolina Week's Benton Smith takes us to a place a little out of the way and a little out of the ordinary.
In the outskirts of Sanford, there is a small business called Brickyard Junction. And naturally, it's your one-stop shop for all your costume, salon, and tanning needs. Wait a minute. What? Junction's owner, Pat Sharp, combined her 3 loves into one business. Surprisingly, she says that other months of the year don't compare with October and costume sales.
They're good, but they don't compare with Halloween. That's my sideline business the rest of the year. I hairdress. That's my profession. That's how I make a living.
Sharp has just about anything you could ever need for Halloween. I don't know where I'd be without a $100 bow tie and a snug pair of Halloween tights.
These props, wigs, and costumes are made for fun and entertainment. But what happens when they're used to aid fugitives of justice?
Isn't it possible for anyone to come in here and purchase a disguise? And couldn't it be used to dodge authorities?
October is a very big business, so we see more clientele during October.
Don't dodge the question, Miss Sharp, if that is your real name. Carolina Week obtained video of a shifty-eyed drifter who looks up to no good. Is anyone safe? In Sanford, I'm Benton Smith, Carolina Week. Or am I?
Be sure to use your Halloween costume in a safe and productive manner.
In this week's Speak Out segment, we asked students, what's the coolest Halloween costume you've ever seen?
A guy dressed as like he was taking a shower, and he had like a shower curtain around him, and he had some kind of cardboard bathtub, and he was pretty naked. It's probably what I'm going as this year, which is an I Am Buddyless.
A roommate and I had planned to go as Adam and Eve, but she wussed out, so another friend, male friend, decided he would fill the role.
Our sample isn't scientific and should be taken as a reflection of widespread opinion on campus.
Coming up after the break, what can happen when student-faculty relationships go too far?
Making a can from recycled aluminum instead of from raw materials reduces air pollution by 95%. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Recycling a glass bottle saves enough energy to run the TV you're watching for 1 full hour. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Recycling all our Sunday papers would save over 500,000 trees a week. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world.
Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, King of the Apes, Father of Boy. He knows what it takes to be a dad. You go for a ride. You take a swim, you hang out. All it takes is time. Hey, it doesn't take a hero, but it takes a man to be a dad.
Welcome back to Carolina Week.
Carolina Week's Stephanie Lockwood is joining us with the second part of a Carolina Week exclusive.
Thank you, Jenny. Last week, 3 students told us about intimate student-faculty relationships. We decided to take a deeper look into how these relationships can affect students. Nick was a sophomore when she became involved with one of her TAs.
I was at a party one night, and he came, and we were talking, and then we ended up kissing. And we realized that we were both attracted to each other.
Although Kristen's TA was violating UNC Chapel Hill's improper relationships policy, psychology professor Robert Lawson says intimate student-faculty relationships aren't always bad.
It could be the best thing that could happen to a student. The student could learn and grow and they could respect each other and love each other.
But UNC Sexual Harassment Officer Judith Scott says that's not the case in a majority of these relationships.
I have had graduate students and undergraduate students come back as much as 8 years after and tell me how the sexually intimate relationship that one of their professors had with them when they were here had damaged their lives in very, very meaningful ways.
Scott says these relationships can result in retaliation against the student if the relationship turns sour and can lead to charges of sexual favoritism by other students. Scott says even non-sexual intimate relationships can create a conflict of interest when it comes to fairly evaluating a student. So some faculty members wonder where to draw the line.
What do you do, what don't you do?
Scott says just don't blur the boundaries.
Keep a professional work or academic relationship or instructional relationship with the students that you teach or evaluate or supervise, period, the end.
Scott says faculty members who do decide to pursue intimate relationships with students should immediately end their supervisory or evaluatory roles with these students.
All right, thanks for that report, Stephanie. In other campus news, parking at Carolina can be a real pain, and it's even worse for those with disabilities. Driving around campus looking for a space is no fun for anyone. More than 300 students and faculty must search for disability parking. Some students with disabilities must get out of a car and then into a chair and then rush to class. Ann Teague says the problem stems from a lack of spaces and a lack of consideration.
Drive around the block until I find a spot. So, you know, sometimes the disability parking spaces up here are all full, or, you know, people are illegally parked.
The university will add 1,500 more parking spaces in the next decade, but no word yet about how many of those will be designated as disability parking spaces.
We're about halfway through the year, and while some Carolina students are worrying about their future careers, one student is doing just fine with his own software company. Aaron Houghton is the CEO of Creation Incorporated, a software design company. He started the company in high school, and since then, his client list has grown to include businesses and most recently, school districts. His latest project, MainBrain School, lets administrators update school schedules, grades, and even the lunch menu online. He's just 21, and Houghton says being a college student can be bad for business at first.
Get a few less calls back, but I think when you actually show the product and you show what you've done, you get a lot more respect that way.
Houghton says MainBrain School's chief competitor is Apple Computers, but because his company is small, Houghton says he can offer the same technology as larger companies at half the price.
In this week's medical segment, wisdom teeth usually come out in between the ages of 17 and 21, and sometimes there's not enough room for them.
Carolina Week medical reporter Matt Illman tells us those teeth can create problems.
A few weeks ago, 18-year-old Jennifer Pendergrass started to get headaches. Doctors said her wisdom teeth, the 4 farthest molars on each side of both jaws, were the cause. Now she's here at the UNC School of Dentistry with her mother to have them removed. Jennifer is a high school senior from Henderson, North Carolina. A friend of the family recommended the UNC Dental School. This is where oral surgery students learn and practice their craft under faculty supervision.
And I just need you to put your initials here by the numbers and sign your name by the X.
We're going to take your keys Oral surgeon George Blakey will perform the operation. He says some problems indicate when wisdom teeth should be removed.
Problems being if you can't keep them clean, if they have cavities, if they're impacted, causing problems to the other teeth.
Nurse Carol Kibler prepares Jennifer for her 15-minute surgery by placing patches to monitor her heart rate and by attaching her to an IV. Jennifer's wisdom teeth must be removed because one of them is impacted or blocked by the gum and has to be cut out. Then the surgeon closes the open gum with stitches.
She's all finished.
Jennifer will experience the usual soreness and swelling during the next few days, but having her wisdom teeth out will prevent future problems that could become serious. In Chapel Hill, I'm Matt Illman, Carolina Weeks.
If there's enough room for your wisdom teeth, you don't have to worry about getting them taken out. A visit to your dentist for an x-ray can show if you have a problem.
Carolina Week weather anchor Jason Myers joins us now. Jason, have you had your wisdom teeth out?
Actually, I have not had my wisdom teeth taken out. I guess I have such a big mouth that the orthodontist thinks I don't have to have it taken out. And those videos, oh, that looked like that would
Didn't
hurt.
look too nice.
Yeah. Well, let's go to this week's weather question.
Let's do that.
Which is, instability due to cold air moving over warm water causes which weather phenomenon? Lake effect snow, jet streaks, hurricanes, or drought? We'll have the answer and the weather forecast after the break.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green.
By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. You know, feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
Un día en el bosque las ratas jugaban. Fósforos que no es muy bueno.
Escucha Smokey antes de tratar.
Solo tú.
No juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego. Fuego. No hay nada para un pobre conejo asustado o un pobre ratón sin casa en que vivir. Si el hermoso bosque es lo que deseas, no juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego.
Solo tú puedes prevenir los fuegos forestales.
Fuego.
Hi, welcome back to Carolina Week. The cold temperatures this week have made everyone need to get their jackets out and bundle up. But with the cold temperatures come the changing of the leaves, and we've been able to enjoy that all across campus. Yet everyone has had to keep in mind the cold temperatures, and a lot of people are starting to get sick this time of the year too. But with the colder temperatures and the leaves changing, we're going to see that more and more over the next few weeks. Right now, the report is in the mountains, they're at their peak. And as you go more towards the Piedmont, it gets a little bit more patchy. In the foothills, it's near peak, and in the Piedmont, patchy. But over the next few weeks, we should start seeing our leaves change more towards the peak. But first, let's go to the satellite and look at what we have. We have we had a lot of cloud cover over our area, and that's pushed off. And right now, we're going to be seeing some clearing over our area. But with that, we're also going to have cooler temperatures coming in from an Arctic zone that's coming up from Canada, and that's moving across the Great Plains right now, and it's going to be in our area over the next few days, and that's going to significantly bring the temperatures down. If we go to our surface map, we can see that our low pressure has moved more towards the north, and that's bringing more showers up towards the northern areas, and maybe even some precipitation in the form of snow. But as this cold front moves through, make sure you keep that in mind if you're going to be going out anywhere this weekend, just to have that jacket handy. But if we look at our 4-day forecast, we'll see those cooler temperatures stay with us. Friday, 58 and a low of 35 degrees. On Saturday, 52. So if you're going to be going to the game, remember to have that jacket. On 30, our low will be. And on Sunday, our high will be 54. 32 will be our low on Sunday. And on Monday, 55 with a low of 31. So we're going to start seeing 50s, and we're going to start seeing the temperatures really start staying cooler. So make sure you have all your winter clothes. If you've left any clothes back home, bring those back to campus, because we're going to start having cooler temperatures stay with us. If you're going to be going towards the beach, it's also going to be cold down there. 55 on Saturday, 35 will be our low on Sunday, 56 sunny, and 36 will be the low. If you're going to be going towards the mountains, it's going to be even cooler than that, and you could see some flurries towards higher elevations. 45 will be our high, 29 will be our low, and on Sunday, 45 will be our high, and 25 will be our low. And if you're going to be going to the game this Saturday, it will be cool, so again, make sure you have that jacket. If you're going to be tailgating, we'll have a high of 52 degrees, and it will be mostly sunny, so it will be perfect football weather. And that cold weather just makes me want to get out there and cheer on the Tar Heels. Right.
Sounds good.
Well, does anyone have I'm giving you guys some time to think about that weather question, because it's a little bit more tough. So, does anybody have a guess for that?
It's difficult. I'm staying away. Last few times I've missed it, so
Staying away?
keep the mouth
I'm
closed.
going to try C.
Actually, it is A. It's lake effect snow. And lake effect snow happens a lot towards the Great Lakes when you have that warm water and the colder air moving over it, and that brings big-time snow showers. But we probably won't see any snow until the next few months, maybe. It's starting to get a lot colder.
Yes, it is. It sure is. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Mr. Liley joins us now with sports. It's homecoming weekend. Big weekend for sports.
It's a big weekend. We have the blue-white game after the Carolina-Maryland football game, which we hope to get back on track. And we'll talk all about that. But first, coming up in Carolina Week Sports, the Carolina women's soccer team hopes to ride the legs of a freshman to another national championship. Sports is next after the break.
During the fall, one of the most peaceful places on campus is the Forest Theater. Many great plays are held in this place of serenity. But my favorite times are when nothing at all is going on, and the colorful canopy of leaves overhead shelters you from the cares of the world. No one knows the real Carolina like a student.
I can listen.
I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help. You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
Welcome back to Carolina Week Sports. Halloween arrived early for the Carolina football squad as it turned in a nightmarish performance against Wake Forest last Saturday. The Heels were plagued by two familiar problems: poor rushing defense and costly turnovers. As a result, Wake Forest offense racked up 458 yards. The Deacons weren't too shabby either, holding Carolina scoreless for the first time since 1966. John Bunting and defensive tackle Chase Page know the Heels face an uphill battle Saturday against a surging Maryland team.
I'm very impressed with the way they're playing defense. The front four is good. Their linebackers are extremely active and physical, very, very physical. And their secondary is also physical and playing well.
Everybody, sees how many yards we give up rushing, and they're definitely, they're going to practice all week running the ball. Even if they're not a running team, they're going to become a running team when they play us, because, that's how you control the clock, that's how you win. So, knowing that, we have to go into our practices this week and just, stop the run. It's all we got to think about. It's all we got to focus on.
Now with football wrapping up, men's basketball tips off in less than a month, so we asked some Carolina students if they were excited about the upcoming season.
I hope we win because I got up early in the morning to get basketball tickets, so I hope it works out, and I'm psyched about the team.
I look forward to it. I'm very excited about it. I think we got some talented young freshmen.
I've actually heard we're going to have a pretty good team, so I'm excited, but given last year's, we've got to be better than last year.
I think the upcoming season is going to be exciting. We're young, which is a little scary, so we're gonna win some games we shouldn't, and we're gonna lose some games we shouldn't.
Now, our poll isn't scientific and shouldn't be taken as public opinion. The season tips off with a blue-white game at the Smith Center following the conclusion of the Carolina-Maryland football game. The Carolina women's soccer team has a history of winning, and this year is no different. One reason for the 13-1-3 start is freshman Lindsay Tarpley. Aaron Mesmer has the story.
She's just an extraordinary individual player and just very creative on the ball and a lot of fun to watch.
There's one thing coaches across the nation agree on about Carolina freshman Lindsay Tarpley.
Tarpley is, one of the top freshmen in the country right now. Certainly one of the top freshmen in this conference. And she just does all kinds of things.
Of all those things, teammate Alyssa Ramsey says her speed is her greatest asset.
That means you're always going to get on the end of balls. When they're bouncing around, not necessarily balls that are just passed to her. She gets on the end of everything.
She helped refine those skills on the under-19 national team, a team Tarpley led to a world championship. Despite the thrill of representing her country on the U.S. team, she finds the closeness of this Tar Heels team even more appealing.
Carolina, we're a college team, and we spend every second of the day almost together, and it's so much fun just to get to know the girls, and it's like a family.
Although she missed the first 2 games of the season, Tarpley already has 10 goals and 10 assists. This, combined with speed and smarts, has some people thinking she's destined for greatness.
We think she's going to keep getting better every year, and we're just very excited that she's a Tar Heel.
And Tarpley's just as excited to be one.
It's such a great environment to be in and to be a part of, and I just feel so lucky to have the opportunity to be here and to be a part. I'd love to see our team win 4 national championships. I mean, I think that's the goal and the dream of everybody.
And if the Heels do that, they'll likely have number 25 to thank for it. In Chapel Hill, I'm Aaron Mesmer, Carolina Week Sports.
Now the number 2 ranked Heels will close out the regular season with games against Wake Forest on Wednesday and Maryland on Friday. Coming off a tie with the number 1 team in the country, the men's soccer team looked to build on that game when they took on UNC Wilmington Tuesday night. This game was a makeup of an October 15th rainout. Carolina midfielder Matt Crawford was the story in the game. He tallied a goal and his ACC leading 13th assist in a 3-zip shutout. The Seahawks couldn't get off the ground, managing only 1 shot on goal for the game. Now the team only has 2 more regular season contests left against Clemson and South Carolina. The ACC tournament is in 2 weeks and will be held at SAS Park in Cary. And I guess that just about does it, but we have one final note. A couple of members of the women's basketball team are garnering some preseason awards. Latangela Atkins was voted the preseason ACC Freshman of the Year, and Coretta Brown was named to the first team preseason All-ACC team. So a lot of people have high hopes for that team as well.
Looking good.
Looking forward to basketball.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Some local inmates are doing more than just time. We'll have their inspiring story coming up.
Plastic ones last longer.
Pork bellies close steady due to speculation that demand for bacon-related products.
Read me this one, Daddy.
Okay, honey. The less art kids get, the more it shows. Are yours getting enough? Art. Ask for more. AmericansForTheArts.org.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Homecoming week is in full swing, and there are still several activities on the calendar before Saturday's game against Maryland. The polls will be open for homecoming elections until 10 on Wednesday. Log on to Student Central to cast your vote. On Thursday, CAA will host games in the pit from 10 until 2. They'll also be raising money for Coach Bunning's favorite charity, Volunteers for Youth. Then on Friday, campus groups, homecoming candidates, and the Marching Tar Heels will show their Carolina spirit during the homecoming parade. It kicks off at 4 p.m. at Granville Towers. And of course, the big game against Maryland, that's Saturday at 1:30.
Thanks to a new program, inmates from a local women's prison are doing more than spending all their time behind bars. 6 women from a correctional facility in Raleigh shared original poetry in the Union on Saturday. They are part of the North Carolina Women's Prison Writing and Performance Project, a program teaching them to express themselves creatively. After the show, women got flowers and a standing ovation. Former UNC President William Friday presented the prison superintendent with an award for innovative leadership. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week. Have a safe and fun Halloween, and make sure you come back here next week for more local news and events.
Thanks. Good night.